biggest challenges of managing a fleet of trucks, tractor trailers, and material handling equipment? Hassling with maintenance, repair, and vehicle breakdown. Transervice's dedicated contract maintenance service, DCM, takes that hassle away. We maintain your fleet, no matter what the configuration, to the highest standards, while giving you the greatest cost control. We offer preventative maintenance executed to maximum utilization, equipment life, and necessary repairs, all tracked by a state-of-the-art paperless computerized system. Assistance with equipment engineering, configuration, including new engine technology, and onboard computers for your fleet, as well as dedicated fleet contract maintenance. Dedicated on-site service facilities staffed with management and certified maintenance technicians, inventories of parts, tires, and fluids, and all necessary shop equipment, diagnostic tools, and technology. Supporting services such as equipment inspections and assistance with meeting regulatory requirements, DOT, OSHA, EPA. Contact us today to learn about our turnkey contract maintenance solutions. It's all about the experience, yours and ours.
Hello and welcome to the SIM500 Transervice Cup Series on Vidane TV. I'm Kevin England, and Tim Terry and Paul Strickland are here to join me for tonight's coverage of the Transervice Cup racing at Dover. This race is presented by Transervice Transportation and Logistics Solutions, a history of service, a tradition of excellence, and by Kong Beer Bong. Be a life of the party. Visit kong.twodrunk.net. Make the good times better. TrackCams22.com, iRacing track and camera files. Take your iRacing spectators experience to the next level. RacingBids.com, racing collectibles for race fans. Racing Bids is the official sponsor of the Transervice Cup Rookie of the Year program. And don't forget us, your friends here at Vidane TV. Want to give us a tip? Head over to tip.vidane.net. 3 gets us a beer, $10 gets us a beer and a burger, and $25 gets us a DoorDash. Tip.vidane.net, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. And thanks for that. Welcome everybody into Dover International Speedway, the concrete monster. And Tim, it's going to be an exciting night of racing action here at the Monster Mile.
Absolutely, it is, Kevin. Always look forward to going to Dover, and you're going to see some big names up in front. You look at the qualifying order that we have here tonight. Adam Gilliland is back. He's going to start from the front row. Pedro Mojica up there. Danny Hansen is back here tonight. Great qualifying effort by Chad Coleman in the top 10. This is it's going to be an exciting little field here as they get ready to roll off.
Yeah, this is one of those racetracks where you never know how it's going to play. You can have a rash of cautions. You could have long green flag runs, tire wear, some sort of fuel management, and the racetrack itself, challenging as can be. You drop 2 stories from the front straightaway down into the corner, and some drivers love this racetrack, and other ones, I don't really care too much for it, Tim, because it's a challenge to get around this mile.
Absolutely. You have to manhandle this race car around here to tame Miles the Monster, and we're going to see who comes out on top. There's some drivers that, as you look down this qualifying order, that might have missed the mark a little bit, that have to work their way back a little bit closer towards the front. You see Richard Beasley, Josh Williams back there at the back of this field. They're going to have to work their way up. Going to be an exciting 168 laps around this joint tonight.
Last week's winner, Daniel Faulkingham, looking pretty strong out there in practice, and we see a bunch of drivers back that missed the event. A couple drivers missing here tonight, so a different mix in the field. And, well, 7 cautions last week. This race could go several different ways. We'll just have to see how it plays out as the cars get ready to roll off here for the green flag.
Yeah, a couple of drivers missing, but we mentioned a little bit earlier, they do have 4 drops, I believe it is, in the regular season. So if you have to miss a race, it's not really that huge of a deal as long as you don't stumble through some of those races. We saw Joey Gattina's not here this evening, so that'll be one of his drops. And Kyle Tarasco was a naughty boy last week, Kevin, so he is not in the field tonight or the next 2 races afterwards after a little altercation with Omar Diallo on the racetrack last week. But we'll see what happens here. Shorter field doesn't mean we're going to be short of excitement, I'm sure.
Yeah, and this racetrack, similar to Darlington, you really need to get to the back bumper of the car in front of you and get underneath them, try and beat them into the corner. And, well, tire wear is very dependent on how hard you charge those cars into the corners as you slam down into the 24 degrees of banking here at the Dover Mile.
And you take a look at that banking as we get ready to bring these drivers to green. Pace car is going to duck off, and it's going to be Adam Gilliland leading this field to green at Dover for the SIM500 Transervice Cup Series, waiting through 3 and 4, waiting to see that green flag, and Adam Gilliland will be on the hammer. Green flag flies, and a great start for that 81 down to the inside, but Pedro Mojica keeping pace with them down the front.
Right along the bottom of the racetrack on the apron, out of turn number 2 to the front stretch for the first time, able to get up to that high line, slide up in front of Mojica. Mojica has Daniel Faulkingham in that preferred low line. Daniel's going to take advantage of that. He'll be in second place. It's going to be Adam Gilliland leading lap number 1.
And you got a nice side-by-side battle there. There's the 38 of Chad Coleman. Great qualifying effort for him. E.J. O'Rourke back in the field. And Kevin wasn't here last week, missed his flight, trying to get back from Darlington. As the 45 goes 3 wide. The 23 stuck in the middle with the 93 of Kevin Brown there as well. Drivers jockeying for position, middle of the pack up, looking to move up.
Yeah, side-by-side battle there for that third position. Kevin King hanging tough. The Pedro's right there on the outside door. These drivers talk about how loose the car is on entry to the corner when you have someone to the inside, especially on the back bumper. Kevin King going to be able to take advantage of that low line power as he drives into that third position, and he'll set sail chasing for Daniel Faulkingham.
And there's Danny Hansen down to the inside, looking to pick up one more on the 58 of Mojica, falling back just a little bit here, but we've seen these drivers, albeit it's a tough racetrack, Kevin. We've seen a lot of green flag runs this season out of the Transervice Cup Series. So maybe Pedro falling back a little bit, maybe trying to conserve some of his gear and let the race kind of come to him. He's got one car, middle of the pack, hit the wall off of turn 4. Still stay straight somehow, but this thing will reach. Oh, that's not good. There's the 13 of Comstock up the hill. We're still green, but we got one car missing a little bit of front end pieces. That's Stefan Marinick.
Yeah, it's going to be a long race for Stefan with the front end of that car. You can damage the back a little bit here, but when the front end is done, the car doesn't turn well, the car doesn't draft well, and that provides a challenge. Good to see Trey Edson currently sitting in that 6th position back with us this week. Trey made 10 races so far this season, and caution going to come on the speedway, and he's holding his own right there in that top 10 early going.
Yeah, so the caution flag will fly for the first time this evening, and out there is David Comstock's car once again. So he was up there with the Stefan Marinick machine a little bit earlier on, Paul, and we'll bring up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. So it looks like after that, there's, I think you're going to see the 24 here too. This might not have been over from before.
Yeah, that's just a little wee bit of a help here on the 13 car, David Comstock. We're going to take a look at the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. Good to have everybody on board here with us tonight on both Facebook and YouTube. Always be sure to like and subscribe. And here you can see a little bit of, I don't want to call it retaliation just yet. I can tell you right now that 24 car, definitely done for the evening. That was a hard hit on the outside wall. Smacked the front nose of the car just into the outside wall at full speed. And it looked like that was a little bit of a receipt, as they call it in the wrestling business. But that looks like the 24 is going to be done for the evening, and big damage for the 13 car as well.
Well, how about that? A little fireworks early. Not anticipating that after the extracurricular events from last week, but yeah, it's tough when you're 7 laps in and somebody gets to your bumper, and that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, Tim.
And I don't know if Paul can go back and take a look at the end of lap number 4 between the 24 of Marinick and the 13 of David Comstock, because that is where this really starts. And there's a little meeting off of corner number 4. We saw it a little bit earlier where this place can reach out and bite you, Kevin, but the 13 kind of got, I don't want to say hooked, but got a little help into the wall, and they followed it down the front straightaway, and then they finished it about a lap and a half later. So we'll see if that is done or if there's any more extracurricular between the two of those. But that was about a lap and a half in the making, and it looks like Stefan Marinick is done for the evening. He has retired to the 24 car.
You know, one of the dynamics of this racetrack is how you charge the corner. Some drivers get towards the start-finish line, ease out of the gas, and let the car roll down. Others drive hard into the corner and drag the brake or step on that brake and help the car set to turn down. If you're driving behind somebody who's going to let off and try and roll into the corner and you're one of those chargers, very easy to make contact inadvertently, not understanding how each of you are trying to drive into the corner. And the deception of driving from that 24-degree banking down into the corner, or the 9-degree banking down into that 24, you drop so much that there's just something about that sight line, Tim, that changes it up for you. You can get surprised very quickly.
Yeah, you have to not only race the racetrack, but you also kind of have to race the traffic around you. Come up the bumps the wrong way and get into somebody on the outside. It's going to throw your car for a loop and throw yourself for a loop as we work under caution for the first time here on lap number 9. You see all the cars work their way down the back straightaway and into 3 and 4. Should be going green, I believe, next time by the stripe. Adam Gilliland back with us here this evening. Was at Darlington last week, couldn't get home in time for the Transervice Cup Series race. So he leads. Daniel Faulkingham, Kevin King, Danny Hansen, and Pedro Mojica, your top 5. Some big names up there in the top 10, as we should see the lights atop the pace car go off this time.
10 goes on the board. Let's talk about some crew chief notes for this racetrack. Trouble zone, exit of the corner. Things narrow up very quickly. Sight lines, not very easy to see through the car in front of you, and you are going so fast, both down the straightaway and through these sweeping corners, that when something happens, you come upon it very quickly. Another challenge here, Tim, trying to get to pit road. Boy, this truck is really challenging to get to that chute that enters into Dover.
And you look at this racetrack, you mentioned the sight lines being not really good around this racetrack, and that's the easiest way to put it. You come up off the corner. If something happens coming off a 2, you're not going to see it until you're right up on top of it. And you look at that pit strategy. Most of these races, we've had 4 sets of tires for these drivers at their disposal. Tonight, they have 5, so they have 4 extra sets of tires sitting in the pit area. So if something does happen, they can pull from there. But the pace car going to duck in, and we're getting ready to go back to race.
Gilliland slow to bring them back. You're going to start in second gear here when the tires are worn. You're going to have to be careful stepping on that throttle, but Gilliland executed it masterfully. He jumps out. Faulkingham going to drop in behind him. Here comes King to settle in. The question is, will Edson be able to challenge for that 4th position? Nope, he's going to slot right in, and Hansen drop into that 4th place position.
Jockeying for position here as they come by this time, complete 1 lap after the restart. And you can see off that speed shot right there, everybody single file back to about 12th place or so, just trying to find that spot in line and trying to ride. I believe the 23 of Josh Parker might have been the first one to kind of poke that nose down to the inside of Trey Edson, but really nothing doing there, just trying to test the waters and maybe trying to get a half fake out of that 5 car.
Yeah, rolled up in the center of the corner out to about that middle lane, then turned it down, and you could drive off straight and get a good run up off the corner. He was testing to see if he can get some purchase on that number 5, unable to draw in. So he's going to tuck into the back of the TV panel there. Car loose a little bit up off that corner. Looks like he's hard on throttle, but right now, top 5, single file, and he's going to slide up a little bit. That's going to open the door. Mojica's going to fill it. He's going to slide into that 6th position.
It looks like Justin Fuller going to try to follow along as well as you're right on board with the 23, and you can see it here. It's almost like a tunnel as one more goes by. That's Byron Daly to the inside, but you see those sight lines. There's really not a whole lot of place to move on the inside or the outside. and you come off at turn number 4. It's not as bad here, Kevin, because you can kind of see through that A post and kind of see the front straightaway. When we come back through 1 and 2 and you go down the back straightaway, it's a little bit harder of a sight line because there's haulers here, and you come up off here. If something happens right in front of you right there, it's going to be hard to avoid it.
Yeah, no doubt that things happen really quickly here in the sight lines. You know, the interesting thing is that you're driving through the corner, you're generally looking at the car in front of you, but you're also looking off to the left to see what's going on, because you know things happen so fast. You can look 5, 6, 7 cars ahead of you, and if you see it side by side, you're gonna put those antenna up and just wonder what happens. Big wiggle over there on the back straightaway for the 26. Went off from the outside, slid down to the inside, did not catch the wall. The number 9 of Bobby Wetzel's going to slide by, take over that position, and Jose Gonzalez just trying to get some solid footing right now as he's now in that 22nd position.
And battling along with the 30 car of Brian Macklin. Macklin trying to get, we keep saying he's trying to shake the monkey off his back. He's had a couple of decent runs, or runs that he's seen the checkered flag on the racetrack, Kevin, but this season has pretty much been horrendous for Brian Macklin. Won at the start of the season, kind of punched that ticket into the playoffs, and then it's been feast or famine, and for the most part, it's been famine. But with these drivers in front of him missing races, i.e. Joey Gattina not here this evening and a couple of others having to use that drop race here for Dover, it might move him a little bit closer and give him a little more of a cushion on that 30th place position in points that he needs to be in order to use that playoff ticket.
Yeah, Macklin right now 20th in points. He gained 3 slots last go round. He's got 1 win, 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, and you know he needs to start putting together a little more consistent. And he's been turning that around over the last couple of weeks. The 30's been looking a lot better.
Still need some better runs in order to really contend for that championship. There's the 63 of Scott Stenzel on your screen, and we talk about the various series that SIM500 has here. They had the Boomer Cup Series on Thursday evenings, and they ran Dover last week, albeit a little bit of a shorter race. I think they ran about 130 laps here last week, Kevin, and Scott Stenzel was in that race, kind of trying to parlay a little bit of strategy. Wait a minute, you were in that race last week, weren't you?
Good there.
you were in that race. How did that work out for you?
I started shotgun on the field, and I think I finished 12th, if I'm not mistaken. I ran a couple races this week, but I drove up to almost the top 10, and I really enjoyed that race. I don't know who won because it was so far out in front of me, but
I think they've had 6 or 7 different winners in that series. Chad Coleman went to victory lane.
Coleman went the winner.
Yeah. And Beasley was on the podium as well. It was spotting for Richard Beasley, and the race kind of came to them. It kind of ended in a little bit of pit strategy, some caution flags kind of playing into that mix as well, but
factor, yep.
Yeah, and you really have to make sure that you're on top of that and able to adapt. If you get a caution late and it's not necessarily in your pit run or your tire run, and we're going to see these drivers kind of ebb and flow, I think, with that a little bit here this evening. As you see Pedro Mojica on your screen, that's Josh Parker in and behind, and I believe that might be Omar Diallo in behind him, and I think that's a 23 car that's scored as a 48, I think, on our screen.
Yeah, sometimes the drivers forget to switch out their paint schemes, and we see the DoorDash colors there for Omar, as maybe he's running incognito this week. I got my eye on the 44 of Glenn Campbell. I raced with Glenn quite a bit in that Boomer Cup Series, and man, when he had worn tires, he just took off. He even had some damage, and that car was fast, so I think he admitted he actually likes this racetrack quite a bit, and if he can get some track position, and it's really important, so difficult to pass here at Dover International.
You kind of have to wait for a mistake, and we've kind of seen that throughout, where we saw it with Josh Parker a little bit earlier. Just got out of the groove a little bit and let 2 or 3 cars go by, and with this series, with the talent that's here, you can't make a mistake, because if you do, you're going to lose probably 3, 4, 5 positions, and you're going to be in behind the 8 ball. As you see Parker on your screen right now, that is the 23, along with the other 23 of Omar Diallo battling for position number 7. And up in front of them, that is Justin Fuller in the 51. I think you missed the throwback race last week, kind of wanted to run some different colors here that we're used to seeing compared to what he's usually running with personal comfort on the side of that race car. It's usually a blue car, but they got the Mountain Dew sort of colors on that thing. It looks pretty sharp.
Yep, looks pretty good. It's got one of those Evernham style numbers up there on the roof. And I was watching the 93 of Kevin Brown sitting back there running the 11th position. You follow the 33. That's where he is, right behind Byron Daly. And Daly ran up on the 58 of Pedro Mojica. And sometimes the opportunity to pass comes when the car in front of you gets to the car in front of them. And it stalls, and as they slow up, it opens the opportunity to get a nose underneath. I saw Kevin Brown hanging high, looking to see if he could get that drive under, and he took the peak, but unable to get that job done. And that's just the execution of how you try and make a pass at this racetrack. Everybody kind of hugging that bottom line. You need the bottom line in order to drive up out of the banking into the front straightaway. You're driving down into the corner and out of the corner coming out the other side. Well, I tell you, turn 2 is a challenge. And then you come down the back straightaway, and right about where you get to the bridge and turn in, there's a big bump there. And a lot of drivers either lean left or lean right to try and miss that bump, so it doesn't unsettle the car. And as you get these long green flag runs, well, this is where you win and lose this racetrack. Because as you charge those corners, you're either able to float the car in and lay on that right rear tire, or when you go in, you miss it and you're riding on the right front and the car starts to plow. Now, these drivers talk about this setup, Tim. On the long run, it tends to get a little bit snappy loose up off the corner.
And you're right on board with Byron Daly right now, and there's not really a whole lot of wheel movement per se. That car, at least the last couple of laps, looks a little comfortable as you ride on board with the 33 running down the back straightaway, and not a whole lot of movement. You can kind of see that roller coaster-esque feel. You can kind of see the car bouncing up and down the straightaway and into the corner. But for Byron Daly, the thing kind of looks comfortable right now. It's not really on the edge of out of control, but right now it's only a 10th place race car.
Talked to a couple drivers today about fuel mileage. They said they can get about 79, 80 laps on a fuel run. Now, there's a couple ways to run this race. Obviously, the cautions dictate that you'd probably go in and get 4 tires, but you can split the race into different segments depending on how you want to try it. And some of these drivers like to run that really long version of it, Tim, and hope they get a caution and catch people a lap down.
And if you're out back, you might stay out that little bit longer. If you're kind of middle of the field, you might try a little bit of an undercut and see what you can do. Right now, there's only 29 cars on the lead lap. There's one car multiple laps down, but it gives you an opportunity right now, if you're running in the second half of this field, to maybe play some strategy if this thing continues to stay green as Omar goes to the inside of Trey and they battle side by side for position.
Yeah, Josh Parker was able to get that run that we talked about on the sweep off of turn 4 and underneath Trey Edson. Had him side by side, almost literally touched doors. Got the entry into turn number 1, and unfortunately for Trey, stuck to the outside, and Omar able to follow through that hole.
You ride on board with Josh Parker down the back straightaway in the Interstate Batteries JGR number 23, running in position number 6, and you kind of start to see it in front of him. You got Justin Fuller kind of coming up the racetrack just a little bit, kind of running that second group, trying to avoid some of those bumps on the inside. There's a couple of cars running a little bit lower, so we're kind of starting to see some of these drivers search a little bit. Byron Daly back there in that pack a little bit higher in the middle of the corner than the rest of the drivers, trying to find where they are comfortable. And looking at the scoring pylon, one driver that we mentioned at the start of the show that started way back in the field, the 95, Josh Williams, already up to position number 13. So he's halfway through this field, Kevin, and 38 laps. Right now, I think just pacing himself, trying to get a little closer to the front.
Yeah, pretty good result for this early on, only 38 laps in. Watching Daniel Faulkingham drive around this racetrack, he's tight to that apron line, comes up, sweeps right up using all the racetrack to the fence. Same thing on the other ends. Lets the car slide out a little bit. That allows you to turn the car and drive straighter up off to the straightaway. But yeah, right now he's looking at quite a disadvantage. Just 1.7 seconds back with Kevin King. About that same distance out behind Faulkingham. And a good run for Danny Hansen here early on. Just hanging tough with Kevin King, Justin Fuller, and these guys in the early going, I have to wonder where tire wear will play out here if we continue to run such a long run.
We saw it earlier with Pedro Mojica, kind of letting the field go by, had that decent qualifying effort, and I kind of letting the race come to him per se. And I think that's where he is right now, running position number 9, letting those drivers in front of him maybe burn their stuff up a little bit quicker and let them come back to Pedro. But right now, Adam Gilliland picking him up and laying him down up in front, nearly 2 seconds ahead of Daniel Faulkingham and the rest of the field. And even Faulkingham's got about 2 seconds on Kevin King. And then the rest of the field, you kind of see it there, is kind of tucked up tight within a couple of car lengths of each other.
These drivers were talking in practice, kind of joking, standing around the water cooler kind of thing about how the front end wants to go through the back end, going off the corner. It's a little more crude than that, but they do talk about the dynamic way this car drives. And, what I understand is no 2 laps are the same. Tim, you literally have to be up on the wheel. When the car comes off the corner, it feels different almost every time. As it rolls through the bumps, it's not consistent. And you just kind of have to mind your P's and Q's. There's some of these racetracks where, you could be thinking about what you're going to, when you could go get ice cream or something like that. But not here at Dover. You really do need to pay attention to the grip level of the car through every single corner, every exit, every time you come up. You catch yourself in a surprise sometimes where the car just snaps out coming out at 2 and 4. That's kind of what we saw earlier from the 26, is the 32 going sideways, collects the 23, and we got mayhem over on the back straightaway.
And the caution will fly for the second time, and it happens relatively close to the front. E.J. O'Rourke going to get a piece of it as well in the 41 car. That's a tough break for Danny Hansen, Josh Parker, and few of those that were running near the front. It looked like EJ, he's got damage. It looks like he might have got stopped for at least the most part. Poor Bobby Wetzel almost gets a part of this as well. We'll head it down to Paul Strickland Jr. with a Kong Beer Bong instant replay to see what happened to bring us under the second caution. Is that Justin Fuller?
It may be, and we mention it almost every other week, every 2 or 3 weeks. Josh Parker, Justin Fuller don't quite see eye to eye. They're not really friends, but they're not really enemies, and they're not even really frenemies, which I still don't believe is an actual word. But we're going to take a look at it. We'll do it live, as we say. Here's the replay. Focus in on that gorgeous 223 Interstate batteries, and you can see Justin Fuller actually gives a little tappity tap to the 32 car, sends him on a round, and that's actually what collects Josh Parker there in the 23 Joe Gibbs Racing machine. Didn't really have too much damage until he got nosed there by E.J. O'Rourke in the 41. Nowhere to go through all that smoke. There you see the 43 getting him locked up, doing a great job. Doug Roth not getting into the back of Beasley there. And, whoa, Bobby Wetzel coming in hot. Looks like he got her stopped just in time. Don't see any damage in the front of that number 9 car, but, man, that's a tough break for Josh Parker. Another rough race here at Dover.
Four tires and fuel, and I don't know who won that race off of pit road. I'm not sure if the 39 just got the 81. I believe he did. As they're driving off, he's leading them out to the track. The 88 was right there, and it's feeding time at the zoo. Everybody going to go for 4 tires and fuel here, as looks like one car stayed out here. It's it's Comstock, who's 20-something laps down, so we understand why he's sitting back there.
Yeah, the 32 of Danny Hansen stayed out on the racetrack as well. He is going to come down pit road on this lap to get service to his race car, and I'm sure a little bit of damage repaired to that race car as he was involved in that most recent incident. So that'll hand the lead, or cycle the lead back through, as there goes the 23 of Parker off of pit road and the 41 of E.J. O'Rourke. E.J.'s car doesn't look too bad compared to what is in front of him in the 23, but we'll see what he can do. He's running middle of the pack, and he can only go ahead right now, and he's got over 100 laps to get there.
Off of pit road, 4.7 or 14.7 and 14.7 for Gilliland, but it just had a little bit better time for Faulkingham as he was able to jump, and one position loss for Gilliland. Look at the 9 for Diallo. He had to change 2 tires there, sitting in that 4th position.
Yeah, moved up a bunch of spots and maybe try to get a little bit of track position, but it looks like he's going to have Justin Fuller to his inside on row number 3 with Trey Edson to the outside. Most of these drivers still running in the top 10, though, a little bit of a shakeup with Josh Parker and the Danny Hansen machine falling out of the top 10. Going to move Josh Williams a little bit closer to that top 10. Kevin Brown in position number 9. Chad Coleman still kind of hanging around in position number 10. And still plenty of laps to get this thing done. And we're just shy of the 1/3 distance mark. And there's your pit stop strategy on your screen with stint length. Cool little graphic there as the field doubles up in behind the pace car.
So credit to the crew for the 39 to get him out first. He's going to call the shots here and see if the track position is going to mean something for Faulkingham. As fast as Gilliland is, this will be an interesting study to see whether or not he keeps pace and can get around the 39, or with the track position, will the 39 draw off? They come down the back straightaway as we get set for the restart. Faulkingham, your leader, Gilliland, King, Diallo, and Fuller, your top 5. We're working caution number 2 in the event, and I'm pretty sure everybody went and got tires, so tires and fuel not going to be a factor here. As we get ready for the restart, it's up to Daniel Faulkingham to kick it off.
And most of these teams should still have 3 sets of tires sitting in the pit area as well, so plenty of tires to use throughout the remainder of this event. It'll be 120 laps to go, this time by Faulkingham and Adam Gilliland on the front row. Green flag flies, and look at that 39 car. Beautiful restart for Daniel Faulkingham, and he's going to lead him down into corner number 1.
Up group slots, single file. Diallo right there on the back bumper of Kevin King, trying to see if he can get some advantage here on this restart. Everybody looks at these restarts when they're in close proximity to see if they can get the job done to score a position side by side for Edson back there with Brown, trying to look at that opportunity as Edson still hanging tough to the outside. Pedro Mojica down below him. Oh, slides up. Edson going to be able to make that top line work.
And now they get back to single file as Edson tries to track down Fuller. In front of him, Omar Diallo and Kevin King. That's the battle all the way up to position number 3, top 2. Trying to break away again, as we've seen in the first couple of runs. Those top 2, I think, are going to be the class of the field, Kevin. We'll see who has the best at the end of this race. We might be fighting for 3rd here this evening, though, with Kevin King on back.
Side-by-side battle back there for about the 16th position. Stenzel to the outside, able to score that position over Tyler Dalton. Now he has his sights set up there on the 45 of Mike Montesi. Montesi car a little nervous out of turn number 4. That's going to allow Stenzel to draw right up on him. He's able to get it sorted out off of 2, and he's going to keep going with the kick-ass beef jerky number 45.
And Tyler Dalton falling back into the clutches of Nelson Rivera, I believe that is back there. So these drivers still moving around a little bit, trying to see what they have here early in this run and find their footing, maybe pick up a couple of positions if they can. But Scott Stenzel right now trying to close in on Montesi, and they got a little ways to get a little bit closer towards that top 10 as they continue to work there. There's Trey Edson at the top of your picture going down and trying to pick up one more position as he battles with Omar Diallo and Justin Fuller. Great little battle at the near the front of the field. There's Omar down to the inside of the 5.
Omar tried to do the crossover to come back under, not able to do it. The 95 ducks underneath the wobbly number 33. Mike Kelly going to follow him through, give them 10th and 11th, or 9th and 10th. Byron Daly slips back. He's going to slot into that 11th position. A little gap for him there so he can get that recovery and get it straightened out. I see Chad Coleman, winner of the Thursday race that we talked about. He's sitting in the 12th position, just kind of riding. Looks like he's trying to save his car a little bit.
Yeah, not really pushing the issue right now, just kind of letting this race come to him. And in behind him, you got Brian Macklin and Mike Montesi, and then Scott Stenzel. Stenzel was in that Thursday race as well. I'm sure he learned a thing or two about this racetrack, albeit longer race here this evening, and I think one more set of tires than what they had on Thursday night. So a little bit of strategy difference, but so far so good is right up the road with them to see a little bit of a battle with Pedro Mojica. going to fall to position number 10.
Yeah, Brown able to score that position as the 95 goes underneath Diallo. He's going to take that position. I'll tell you what, Williams looks great here tonight.
Started near the back of the fields, picked up a couple of positions, and has been able to use, I think, the cautions to his benefit with every couple of positions that way, and finds his way to position number 6. So he's been on the move. He's been on a mission, and looking to break into the top 5 here if he can get one more spot, and he's got one of his teammates in front of him with Trey Edson.
So we could kind of come back to that story on the restart to whether Faulkingham would be able to run off and hide. No. He's only got about 3/10 so far, Gilliland, keeping him honest, staying right there with him. Maybe as this run comes out, Faulkingham will have a better run, but now as soon as I say that, they swap positions at Fuller is given chase, but Faulkingham did not run away like Gilliland did.
And you know what? They kind of ran away from the field. Yes, Adam ran away from Daniel, but Daniel kind of gapped the field himself too, albeit we're not that far into the run. But now we got Justin Fuller up here, and the field is kind of not running away or not falling behind the top 2. And at least at that point was Daniel Faulkingham and Adam Gilliland. And Faulkingham doing the job that he needs to up in front, but now he's got Justin Fuller to his back bumper, and they are starting to gap third on back.
Yeah, going back to my notes from last week, 107 laps, somewhere thereabouts, for Faulkingham leading, and here he is out front. He's certainly leading the stats on the number of laps led this season, as he's been up front almost every race.
And it took so long for him to get that first win, and it seems like once you get the first, the other ones come easier and they kind of flow through. But right now up in front, and he's got Justin Fuller back there just kind of keeping him at bay. You saw that battle in behind Omar Diallo trying to pick up one more position on the inside of Trey Edson, and Mike Kelly is quietly on the move too.
Yeah, nice sign of life for that number 2 Verizon car. He needs something to turn around the season a lot like Macklin, and right now he's looking pretty strong here at Dover.
Doing what he has to do. Car is in one piece. Car is clean. There's Brian Macklin on your screen battling with Chad Coleman. Battle just outside of the top 10. They got Byron Daly ahead of them. Mike Montesi behind. And Macklin looking to pick up one more, but trying to set that pass up. You talked about it earlier, Kevin. Trying to find your way to not maybe use that bumper early and get by. And Macklin's he's trying to find a hole, but Chad's not giving him too big of a hole to make the move.
He's literally at the back bumper knocking on the door, and that's the way you got to make the pass. You've got to be on that bumper, hope the car drifts up off the corner, and you're able to draw alongside. That's how the 30, a little bit of a wiggle. He had to back out of it a little and collect the car. And Macklin's still trying to get on the charge for Chad Coleman. And Chad Coleman, man, he's like the Iron Man. If you look at the number of stats in the context of races run by Chad Coleman, I think he's got the entire field covered here at SIM500. He's got to be knocking on 750 in the starts area. I think EJ O'Rourke with 700 plus is probably the closest person to him. But Chad Coleman, he's the SIM500 equivalent of an Ironman.
And he's been able to still reel off victories like he was on Thursday evening. He hasn't had the Transervice Cup Series season that he's wanted to. He's kind of been a little bit quiet, but he's been reeling off some decent finishes to put him in a decent points position. But I think he also knows, too, that he's got to find a way to get into victory lane if he wants to secure himself a spot in the playoffs. But he's battling right now with Brian Macklin. It's a great battle for these guys, but it's a battle for 12th.
Yeah, it certainly looks like Macklin's car is faster at this point, and he has been challenging, but he's not able to draw alongside like he wants. He gets a good run through the center off and is able to drive the car to the back bumper, but unable to make it turn coming off turn 4 to get down underneath and execute that pass. Up in front of them a couple positions. It's a side-by-side battle over there as the 95 slipped up. Now the 5 of Trey Edson's going to repay the favor, as is the 48/23 of Omar Diallo. Omar is going to slot into that 6th position. And out front, everybody kind of stretched out a little bit. Faulkingham, he got a half-second lead over Fuller, a half second over Gilliland back, and a little over a half second back to King. So in this race,
they're spacing out up in front from about fifth on back or so. They're still kind of under a blanket. There's a great little battle there for sixth on back. You see Trey Edson and Omar Diallo's not too far up the road, but you got Josh Williams, who drove his way up to position number 6, lost the spot to Trey Edson, and might lose one to Mike Kelly. Mike Kelly doing a great job here in the top 10, continuing to work up, and he might be in 7th here before this thing is all said and done on this run as we complete 72 right here.
If you're just joining us, the 81 of Gilliland led to lap 47. Caution came out after an incident over there in turn number 2 in on-pit road. Daniel Faulkingham able to make the pass. His crew gets the job done. And he's been leading ever since. Out front, Faulkingham, Gilliland back to second. Trying to close in, Fuller, King, Diallo, Edson, Williams, Kelly, Mojica, and Brown are your top 10, and a good run for Kevin Brown sitting back there at 9th. He looks like he has a pretty racy car here at Dover.
And another one of those drivers that we expect to see up front, but really hasn't had a loud season. He's kind of been quiet, reeling off a couple of decent finishes, but really nothing that we've seen him have a car capable of going to victory lane, except for those super speedways. I know he loves Daytona and Talladega every time we roll around to them, but quiet run tonight, up to position number 10, starting to make a little bit of noise, making a little bit of waves in that top 10 as he looks up to Pedro Mojica in car number 58. But the cream always rises to the top, it seems like the old cliche. Faulkingham and Gilliland once again at the front of this field as Kevin Brown has a little bit of an issue, and here comes Byron Daly to pick up one more. That could have been a lot worse than it was.
Yeah, interesting that he was on the back bumper. That's supposed to loosen the car in front of him, but looks like Kevin may have squeezed the throttle a little too much. Back end wobbled off at turn number 2. Car slapped the wall. We saw some sparks, but carried on, and he lost the position to Byron Daly. I think the tail of the tape for Kevin Brown, currently 9th in those point standings. He's got 5 top 10s, 1 top 5, but it's the incident points. 92 is the stat for him, and that's a little bit higher than everybody else. And I think that's a byproduct of if you say the same guys are always running up front, then you probably find the same guys running just behind that tier. That's where a lot of trouble happens. And, Kevin Brown, he's been in that 10 to 15th position or area all season long.
And trying to break from that is easier said than done. And once you do, it becomes a little bit easier. But it's sometimes hard to break away and break from that pack that you're running with. And we're starting to see some of those drivers kind of make their way closer towards the front of this field. And as we have the competition change, obviously we had guys like Danny Hansen, Kevin King, Omar Diallo come in about halfway through this first half of this season. And it's made the competition even greater and even deeper in this field. But you continue to see some of these drivers try to struggle to get out of that middle of the pack, Kevin, and get towards the front. But you see some of these drivers just trying to make it work. I think that was Tommy Ryan we were riding along with. There he is on your screen, and picking up a couple of positions here. 99 car moving a little bit closer to the front.
Leader Daniel Faulkingham just went underneath the 23 Interstate car. Crippled. Front end is gone on that car, so it's not up to speed. It's just a handful of cars that are damaged now. He's going to come up here on the 32. The 32 Mellon Man Ford. It has a couple little dings in it, but it looks like it's carrying pretty good speed. But he's going to pull high and allow Faulkingham to drive by with no incident. I had a little exchange with a driver this week about slow versus fast coming up. A lot of the drivers, the veterans, know when you see the leader coming, you see him, you pull up. But sometimes there's a car there, and you get into these situations where, the veteran, you should hold your line, then the guy's going to run you over.
We got trouble. The 23 of Josh Parker and the 51 of Justin Fuller having issue down the back straightaway, and Parker is going to dump the 51, and that's not going to end well. Trey Edson involved, and that will draw the caution. And Kevin, it started a lap ago when Justin Fuller was coming around to lap Josh Parker. Parker made it a rolling roadblock, and it ended down in turn number 3. And again, it's the continuation of last week where these tempers are overflowing, and it might be race control starting to lose a little bit of the flow around here. And Paul, we'll back it up to the front straightaway and cue up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay, because this is kind of where it starts. I think Paul has his microphone off, but that's contact right there. That's something you don't want to see. They get it together, Kevin, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't end well down here into 3.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a left-hand turn, and unfortunately, it's Trey Edson that pays the price for this, and it's just terrible for Trey. These guys, I'll refrain from using the term that's on the tip of my tongue. If these two are super incredible veterans, and to be doing this stuff is just uncalled for. My guess is we're going to have some other folks sat down for a little while, and they'll be stern talking to these drivers, and just unacceptable at this level of competition to see these guys doing this stuff. It's really disappointing.
I know Joey Katina is not here tonight, but we'll use his phrase and say, come on, guys, get this thing together. And it doesn't matter what kind of racing it is, Kevin, and you get to, I don't want to say hot heads, but maybe quick triggers together, and that sort of thing happens. It's not the first time that Josh Parker and Justin Fuller have come together. I don't think it's going to be the last time they'll get together, but unfortunately that car right there, Trey Edson, who stayed out to lead a lap, is the guy that gets caught up in it. Luckily last week, I don't think we saw, at least with the intentional wreck from Tarasca to Omar Diallo, and in that situation, there was nobody that got caught up in it other than those two. And now, unfortunately, Justin Fuller's teammate Trey Edson gets caught up in this. And yeah, I think you're right. There's probably going to be a stern talking 2 or 3 here this week, and tell these boys that this is one of the professional, the biggest fixed setup cup leagues on iRacing. They can't be horsing around like that.
Thinking about what we were discussing when the incident occurred, I was just going to say how complicated it is sometimes to work with cars that are off the pace, and everybody has to be mindful. That wasn't the problem with that situation. And so Rourke stayed out to lead a lap here. 39 of Faulkingham was able to hold Bay on pit road, and you have to wonder with worn tires, is Rourke going to duck in here, or is he looking to restart? There he goes.
I almost thought he was going to give it a go up in front. Car still has, I think, a little bit of damage to it, Kevin, from earlier in this race, but EJ has chosen to come down pit road and get a little service to that one. But yeah, Adam Gilliland is position number 5 here through this one, so he lost a little bit of ground. First time this evening, I think we're going to see Kevin King on the front row. So we'll see what the 88 car has. That car has gotten better as the run has gone on, but we haven't really seen that long run-esque that I think Kevin King kind of wants for his race car. But Daniel Faulkingham has been good, the short to mid-range runs that we've had.
I think about the way the complexion of some of these races going, and I have to wonder, to the point you just made, someone like a Kevin King, maybe he's not showing his hand. Maybe he's just riding. He can get himself into space, little gap ahead, little gap behind, and just see how the car responds on the long run. I know that, there's times when you pace yourself knowing that when it's time to go, you can hammer down, and all of a sudden the car comes to life.
And I think the only other thing we haven't mentioned here tonight is the pace car goes off. We're getting ready for green. Is I don't think we would see a whole lot of that dirty air that we're used to talking about, Kevin, as the green flag flies, but we kind of saw it during the Cup race on Sunday. So we'll see how the traffic and the air around these race cars handles, at least at this point. Faulkingham gets back out in front. Battle right here between Pedro Mojica and Byron Daly as they run down the back straightaway and try to settle that thing. Kevin Brown trying to move up one more spot as they battle it out. Kevin Brown got a great run on the outside.
Well, there's side-by-side battles all the way deep through the field here. See Tyler Dalton side-by-side back there, and everybody trying to say, we have not talked about Richard Beasley sitting in that 17th position. His car looks clean, having a quiet run back there. I have to wonder if Richard's just kind of pacing himself. He's right behind the 22 of Nelson Rivera. Little damage to the back of that Ford, but Nelson having a solid, quiet run there, now knocking on the top 15.
And just up the road, you saw Scott Stenzel and Mike Montesi. You got the 26 right there as well of Gonzalez. There goes Omar Diallo way down to the inside line, trying to pick up what he can there on Josh Williams. Williams is going to move up to position number 3 and try to chase down the leader. So there's changing up in front here as well. And there goes the 81 of Adam Gilliland. And there is Mike Kelly to the inside. Mike Kelly going to pick up one, and Adam Gilliland is falling back.
Yeah, nice charge. The 2 really stuck through that corner and was able to go. And he's not able to clear the position, but that car looks really good coming up off the corner. And I'll tell you, I think it's crab cakes for everyone for that Josh Williams team, man. That car is hooked up here in Delaware.
And you know what? He's racing smart, keeping the car clean, and being able to pick up the positions when he can, especially on these restarts. He's been a master at trying to pick up positions as Adam Gilliland drove it in deep on Mike Kelly. And I think Kelly kind of saw that coming and moved up the hill, and Adam kind of being a little aggressive here trying to get back to the front.
Yeah, this is a little bit what I was talking about, is you can run that car hard, and wow, that thing was a rocket up off the corner there, and he just strictly took it to school, drove him around. On the short run, you could do this, but you're going to pay on the long run. Maybe he's banking on a bunch of cautions, and he's just decided it's time to go to the front.
Taking no prisoners, and he fell back to position number 3 on that last run and was able to get back up there, and now trying to do the same as you look back here at the 99 of Tommy Ryan, the 63 of Scott Stenzel, the 45 of Montesi, and Danny Hansen is back here as well, kind of mixing it up within this pack. And looking down here, I think Danny might be a lap down and trying to work his way maybe up into a free pass position. And oh, no, he is on the lead lap. There you go. So he's working his way back up through.
Yeah, wasn't he out in front of the leader just a moment ago? I wonder if he changed like 2 tires or something to get that track position back, but the car looks pretty racy.
Yeah, we talked about him having a little bit of damage, so maybe it was his opportunity to come down and get a little more of that damage repaired, but doesn't look too bad. I don't know if it's a winning car. I don't know if it's a top 5 car to battle up there with Faulkingham and Gilliland, but it looks like it's got enough speed to at least contend for a top 10 run here as we complete lap number 95 this time by.
We were talking about Kevin King sitting in that sec position, whether Kevin would be able to mount a challenge on Daniel Faulkingham. Thus far, he's just following in his tire tracks, and he has not let him get away. We'll see again on the long run whether Faulkingham is able to draw that out a little bit, but right now, Kevin King staying right with him.
Yeah, there goes the 32 of Danny Hansen on your screen, trying to close into this next little battle up in front of him. Tailed up by the 30 of Brian Macklin. Got Byron Daly there as well. Chad Coleman, I believe that's up there in the mix, and Kevin Browns. This is a top 10 battle that Danny Hansen has been able to run down, but it's hard to keep your eye on it at just one battle throughout this field because there's plenty of multi-car battles, albeit at this point, Kevin, kind of freight trains, trying to pick your spots as you can, but it's starting to shape up. They have to put themselves in a position to think about the end of this race. We're 70 laps away from it.
Yeah, you were right where I am. This is the time of the race where everybody starts to look. When you get to lap 100, it's easy to know how many laps are left in a 168 lap race. Halfway point was 84, right about where that caution was. Final pit window was 89. These drivers can go the rest of the way. So now, while they race, they tend to keep track of how many laps are left and how many tires they have left on the other side of the wall. And they split the race. So they keep dividing it based on the number of tire sets. And they make that calculation while they're driving as to whether they're going to go get a set of tires or not. And while they're doing that, they're calculating how hard they want to run and whether they need to save tires for the long run. So it's a thinking man's game, right? These drivers are trying to do the best they can to stay in line, make these passes or whatever, but a lot of them are also working out that strategy.
There goes the 5 of Trey Edson down the pit road. He might have had a little bit of damage, I believe, from one of those earlier incidents that we saw here this evening. Look at this front of the field, though. You got Daniel Faulkingham I think, managing this race, and kind of we saw this on the last run where he was able to have that leader, have that second place driver right in behind him and kind of ride, and then started to pull away and kind of gap the feed. Kevin King in second. You're right on board with Josh Williams in position number 3. His teammate Adam Gilliland right in behind him in position number 4. So really no pressure from behind, even though Adam Gilliland lost a couple of spots through that pit road cycle on that restart, was able to gain 2 of them back, and I think he's kind of content to ride right now behind the 95.
Yeah, everybody seems to be kind of riding right now, but they're also going a little quicker. They're not letting the cars in front of them drive away. Everybody's staying like that short little distance, and you know, this is where you say at the end of the race, you're up on the wheel a little more. These top 5 are under a blanket.
Great racing here at Dover, just past that lap 100 mark here in this Transervice Cup Series race. Still plenty of racing to accomplish, but and I don't want to say it, the last incident was premeditated a little bit, Kevin, but for the most part, you saw off that speed shot there about a lap ago. Everybody, for the most part, single file and trying to log some laps. Great shot right here. You see the top 7, top 8 roll around and waiting for somebody to make a mistake ahead of them as Josh Williams is stalking down Kevin King.
Yeah, that conveyor belt feel where you're just trying to gauge the distance between you and the car in front of you, and you're also trying to get those clean laps. This is where your technical execution, how you drive the car up off the corner, whether it wiggles a little bit, how hard you drive it down into the corner, determines whether or not you get to the back bumper and you have the opportunity to make that pass in front of you. So we see drivers seeking around different lines. Kelly up high in the middle of the corner, driving down, getting straight up off. This time he's down on the bottom, and the 58 of Mojica running that line is, I think they're searching around a little bit there in that top 5.
And with them so packed up tight together, Kevin, you can't make a mistake. You can't, feel that outside line and try to look for something, because if you're Adam Gilliland, if you're Omar Diallo, if you're Mike Kelly battling with Pedro Mojica, guy makes a mistake in front of you, you're probably going to capitalize and try to pick up one more position and get that track position a little bit closer towards the front. Now we're 60 laps away from the finish this time by, as you look at the personal comfort number 95 of Josh Williams with the 81 of Adam Gilliland in behind. You see the battle for 3rd and 4th on your screen.
I look at somebody like Mike Kelly who has a gap behind him. He can lay back a little bit, try and get a good run, do whatever, and if he makes a little bit of a mistake, a lot of those drivers in front of him can't run as hard as they can run because there's a car in front of him. So Mike can use that gap to his advantage to draw back a little bit and drive back forward. Now that Byron Daly in the 33 is starting to close that down, that changes the complexion of that. But I always like to have that little gap behind me. It allows you to play. 39, Faulkingham down through the middle of the backstretch going into turn 3. He's got a slow car in front of him, and David Comstock. I'm sure Comstock has been on the spotter knowing that the leader is coming.
I could be wrong, but I don't think David Comstock is angry at anybody at this point. So we should be okay, I think, at least. I think what Stefan Meredith he had an issue with earlier tonight, he's out of the race. So I think we're going to be fine here as Comstock moves that snap mobile number 13 to the outside line, and Daniel Faulkingham goes down to the inside. We kind of saw a battle off about 5 laps ago or so with Richard Beasley and Scott Stenzel, and they got comfortable with each other back at that Boomer Cup Series race on Thursday night, and kind of riding with each other right now. Stenzel has a couple of lengths on Richard Beasley. Beasley running back there in about 15th or 16th place. The SIM500 Benane Super Speedway champion got the belt. And you know what, Kevin? He told me a little bit earlier he was running a Sunday Night League. I think it's NECRL that he was running, and picked up a championship in that league last evening, a $400 purse on that one. So I believe that'll get him more Tide, some more Snickers, some more Ricky Rudd promotional products, all that nice stuff that comes with it.
Yeah, I remember back in the day in the 2000s and single digits, racing with Richard in different leagues and stuff. So he knows how to turn a lap or two. And see the 81 of Adam Gillill in that time when they got to the lap car of Comstock. Maybe he eased out, breathed the throttle a little bit, and allowed the door to open for Omar Viala. And Viala stuck his nose down underneath the turn number 2. Now he's putting a lot of pressure on the 95 of Williams. Literally tucked to that back bumper is King and Faulkingham. They're driving away a little bit out there in front.
Look at that closing right there with Omar Diallo right to the back bumper. Number 95. Omar says it's going to go, and he's trying to pick up one more spot on Williams. The one thing that you said about 20 laps ago, Kevin, when we went back to green, where Adam was kind of coming through the field and picking up those positions at will and kind of forcing the issue, said it might not work out for him on the long run. Not saying that you were right, but I think you're starting to see that play out as Kevin King gets a little bit closer to Daniel Faulkingham for the lead.
And I think Omar is seeing King and Faulkingham drive away and know that you're not going to track all that track position down if you can't get around this 95. So if he's got a little goodie in the tank, he's going to see if he can get around the 95 and go up there and play with your leaders.
Oh, and the 95 got sideways that last time by, down under 1. It was able to hold off Omar Diallo. This little battle back here, Elliot Henderson, Doug Roth, and Jimmy Coleman battling for a position. The 3 of Jeff Ryan and Glenn Campbell in the 44. Drivers that we're used to seeing have a little bit of speed. Just it doesn't seem like it's there right now for some of these drivers. This is the battle for about 20th place or so as Ryan up the hill and almost into Jimmy Coleman.
I kind of know the persona of Daniel Faulkingham. I want to believe I know it, but it has to be disconcerting coming up off the corner every time and looking at that. The King sitting there behind you.
And this is the first time that he's really had that pressure. He battled with Adam Gilliland earlier this evening, but that was, 50 laps or so into this race, Kevin, and at that point, you're not really pushing the issue, and I don't think you're really pushing the issue right now at lap 119, but you're starting to see that checkered flag creep a little bit closer. You're starting to get a little bit closer to that finish line and the end of this race. And if you're Kevin King, you kind of know that. You're Kevin, you're racing for wins. You got to get as many as you can to try to get yourself into the top 30 in points to get yourself playoff eligible. So Kevin needs the points. Yeah, sure, second place is great, but he wants to get a win too. And I think he's kind of got that idea too with Daniel Faulkingham in front of him.
Yeah, the problem is the 1,600-pound race car is not something you're going to just drive through. And I think Omar is learning that right now. He's certainly been faster than Williams. Williams' car has been on edge, nervous a little bit. And I think that has to do with Omar putting it on that left rear quarter panel, just trying to get him loose. Williams doing a great job just holding his line. I have to wonder if he's even looking out of that back mirror, because I wouldn't want to, seeing how close that 23/48 is.
Well, we've seen some other drivers try to drive through other drivers tonight, Kevin. It can be done. It doesn't work out very well on the end. Yeah, and I think Omar, he's seen Josh Williams. I think Williams kind of got the feet underneath him just a little bit, because there was a couple of laps there where he hauled it down to the corner, and that thing kind of shot sideways in the back end. So I think Josh kind of has his feet underneath him right now and got back into that rhythm, kind of thought that big picture, looked at that big picture. And Omar Diallo is kind of just content to ride right now. If Josh does make another mistake, best believe that 23 car is going to be there to ride on board with Josh Williams down the back.
You go back and you replay some of these incidents. The drivers were having a debrief after last week, and of course they'll have another one after this week. And sometimes you're just not going to put up with it. You're mad as hell and you're not going to take it. No matter what it looks like, you're going to send a signal to someone that you're not going to tolerate it. We've heard the Cup guys go back even to the 60s and 70s and Earnhardt Sr. talking about these dynamics. And yeah, it's just part of racing, but it doesn't make it any better when you get to watch it live. It is somewhat frustrating at times. And, as I look at this, you go to the opposite side. Omar did not put a fender on that 95 yet and has not touched him, has raced him clean, been just waiting patiently looking for that mistake. And there's a yin to the yang.
And the opposite side of it, too, is, and I know you have all the stats sitting there, Kevin, what race number is this?
Number 12.
And we have how many races this season?
39, including some of the bonus ones.
So there's a lot of time to, put that in the memory bank sort of thing in the back of your mind, as Pedro Mojica almost got the wall there on the back straightaway. The paybacks or the tempers that are overflowing are happening a lot earlier in the season than we thought they would, and the downside to that is they might end up paying. We saw Kyle Taraska get suspended 3 races for an intentional wreck last week, and I believe I heard through the grapevine something about his playoff win does not count towards getting himself back in the playoffs. So they pay a big price, and if you're talking with guys like Stefan Marinick and David Comstock and Josh Parker and Justin Fuller and those big names, and then you see the racing that we've seen here with Josh Williams and Omar Diallo and Adam Gilliland, and Adam, yes, has been a little bit aggressive tonight. Omar kind of got back up into the back bumpers. You see Nelson Rivera on pit road, and that car looks like it's got a little bit of right side damage, but Nelson coming back onto the speedway now, and you see that little bit of aggression, but nothing to upset the apple cart, I think, per se, in this little battle up in front. And there's been a lot of respect shown by these drivers, at least that are in the top 5 right now.
Yeah, make no mistake. There were a couple of penalties last week. Not only the Taraska, the admin panel suspended Kyle from all SIM500 series for 5 weeks. He's not eligible for playoffs by virtue of the win, like you said. He can, however, path his way in the playoff season by finishing in the top 16 in points at the end of the regular season. And on return, he's going to be on probation for the remainder of the season. So, the admin panel didn't take it lightly, and they won't take the incident tonight lightly. And, they'll just keep ratcheting up the penalties for these drivers to make sure they understand that they're serious about it. And, I hate talking about all this, right? These guys are friends. They have a lot of fun talking to each other, but, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Sometimes it just comes out on the racetrack.
The sim racing aspect of this may be virtual, but Kevin, at the end of the day, the competition is real. You're still trying to race somebody else to get to the finish line first and have the fastest race car. Whether it's pixelated or whether it's real, you still want to beat those people that are on the racetrack with the very same goal that you have. We've started to see some of these drivers in the back come down pit road. Glenn Campbell was on pit road the last time by in the Transervice number 44. So maybe some of these drivers at the back kind of trying to short pit a little bit here, get some fresh tires and see what they can do. And honestly, outside the top 20, just maybe hanging on to the top 20, don't really blame them at this point. Got to get what you can and try to get a different strategy. If it's not working for you, there's Adam Gilliland on pit road in the 81.
Yeah, I think it's feeding time at the zoo. You're going to see these drivers split the difference, and it is about time for them to come into the pit road. What's going to be interesting is you're now going to have that dynamic where you have drivers make mistakes entering pit road. Fast cars on tires, slow cars. Doug Roth heading to pit road, but you got Daniel Faulkingham out in the lead. He's coming up to the number 41 of E.J. O'Rourke, who is a little slow and off the pace, as Mike Kelly has made his pit stop and a couple others. So I think any moment now you're going to see these leaders duck in, but they're going to wait till I think the bigger part of the field goes in, Tim, in case somebody makes a mistake and causes a caution, then they can pit under yellow.
I think the thing we're going to have to kind of wait on is which one of these leaders kind of blinks first. Yeah, you got the 95 of Josh Williams back there. Omar Diallo is back there. Adam Gilliland is now coming off the pit road. But does Kevin King go for the undercut, pit before the 39 of Daniel Faulkingham and try to make up some time? Or does Daniel Faulkingham blink first and bring that Lobster 207 car down onto pit road for the final time this evening? Both of them stay out on the racetrack. But Here's the fresh tires. Look at the 81 in behind him of Adam Gilliland trying to get by the 29 of Kevin King. He will do so with ease, and now he'll close in on the 39, and Daniel Faulkingham to get one of his 2 lap
Yeah. You know, one of the things I noticed for the 81 coming off the apron down there is not flat. It's got like a slope down and then an angle up, and you can see the seams in the racetrack. And also on the apron, Adam Gilliland hustled that car so much that he almost came back out into the racetrack trying to get back up to speed.
And this is where the strategies come in. We see the 39 of Faulkingham get by Bobby Wetzel, and we saw Mike Kelly and Byron Daly move by all of those cars with ease. So you get drivers on new tires, you get drivers on old tires, and then you got a couple of drivers that kind of got caught up in some messes earlier and had a little bit of damage too. So there's all that.
Right now we show 17 cars on the lead lap back to Jeff Ryan in the number 3 running 16th. As he just went by the 9 of Wetzel, and Faulkingham not showing any signs right now that he's going to pit.
And Kevin King right behind him doing the same thing. Josh Williams, Omar Diallo also still kind of hanging around back there, trying to make it happen and trying to see what they have, but no signs of blinking from these top 4.
This is a blessing and a curse sometimes for these leaders, because if they have somebody fast come and they hit the wrong part of the racetrack, they're going to give up a little more time. Then when they finally get to pit road, it will have cost them that little blip. And, you know, how fast they travel, 1 second is a football field, that kind of thing. It does cost some time on these worn tires when faster cars are going by.
And you saw that little gap there from Kevin King back to Omar Diallo and up to Daniel Faulkingham, as Faulkingham puts Jeff Ryan 1 lap down to the field and continues to be out here closing in on 20 laps, just over 20 laps away from getting to the end of this race. I don't think they're going to stay out all the way, Kevin. I don't think that'll work, but that might be why we're up here, right?
Yeah, this is what we said. I don't want to play that game. These guys, we talked about 2 things. 1, you can get on these alternative strategies and try and race all the way to the finish and see if that's the better path to victory. And you're also in the car going, well, should I pit? Shouldn't I? Who did what? And they saw Gilliland go by, so they know that one of the top competitors in the top 5 pitted. So now they're weighing it, but I think they're going to run for quite a while to make sure there's no caution to catch them out.
Well, you look at it, Adam Gilliland, Byron Daly, Mike Kelly were the 3 that really came down pit road to get service to their race car, and they're all still 1 lap down. With 24 laps to go, if Faulkingham doesn't pit, are they going to be able to make up a lap and a half to get up to the 39 car? The tires are going to level at some point, right?
Yeah, I kind of think they are. Although, you look at one thing I know about running this longer race, the tires give up quite a bit, but then they really settle in. And as long as you take care of the tires, don't heat them up early in the cycle, they stay pretty consistent. You can run to the finish and not drop off that much. You are giving up time to everybody else, but to your point, they've got some of these drivers 1 lap down, so they're going to have to come back around a full lap, and by the time they get there, their tires will be worn out. So it's not a terrible strategy to just stay out here and run it to the finish if nobody's tracking you down.
It's about a second or so a lap that Adam Gilliland is faster than Daniel Faulkingham, and with 22 laps to go, 21 this time by, that's not enough to make up a lap and a half or a lap and a quarter to get around Daniel Faulkingham and Kevin King 1 more time. They're hoping, I think, this race to go green and hoping that it plays out. But I think on the other side, if you were Adam Gilliland running in the top 5, the way you were running, you probably weren't winning the race. So you got to try to throw something at it. And hats off to Adam. And this race is far from over. If the caution flag was to fly right now, Adam is still not the free pass car. He's got to get a couple more cars to get by there. But he's still looking, as Nelson Rivera is looking to get by Kevin King there on the new tires.
Yeah, and King's going to give up a little bit there going through. But I'll tell you what, King, we talked about you have a little reserve in the tank, then all of a sudden you pull the plug and you run it. 3 times off of turn number 2, Kevin King got up against the fence and there were sparks off that right rear. He is on the hammer right now, seeing if he can track down that 39. And he did close down to less than a second, but I think that car going underneath him cost him time. Now, what he can hope is that the lap car also catches Faulkingham in a bad place, and that allows him to make up the deficit that he lost. But at this point, it's 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, still got some time to make up, and Faulkingham has been consistent on every run that we've seen, albeit the shorter runs at the start and now this longer run, which could take us to the finish of this race, and continues to stay solid. Omar Diallo has moved up the scoring pile on to position number 3, and there he is on the screen. Got a little ways to go to get up to Kevin King, but he's pulled away from Josh Williams in position number 4.
Faulkingham looking to see if he could break out to be the first 3-time winner this season. The 22 of Nelson Rivera right to his back bumper. He's got to make Daniel a little loose up off the corner. Daniel's still fighting. He's not going to lay over and take that position. He wants to run his groove. If the 22 wins by, then Nelson's going to have to find his way through. I think Nelson will be able to peak low here, but he's on tippy toes. He knows you don't want to wreck that 39.
You don't want to wreck the 39. You want to get by, and you want to get your one of your 2 laps back if you're Nelson Rivera, but you don't want to upset the apple cart at all. I believe that is that Justin Fuller out there looking for more, trying to go to the outside and go around. He's definitely got damage to his race car, and Daniel Faulkingham going to give him all the room that he can.
22 wanted to peak high coming off of turn 4 last time. The 39 slid up. Now he's to the outside, and he's got Faulkingham boxed in there, so he's going to be able to make his way around. What's this going to do for the 88? King now within 1 second, so this is changing the complexion of the race. Will these guys get out of Faulkingham's way too late to have King on his back bumper? Sparks off the 88 on the back straightaway.
Well, now if you're the 39, you've let those guys by. If you're Kevin King, you're trying to reel in the 39. Your Faulkingham, that traffic in front of you is a little bit quicker. You can kind of manage that right now and kind of look back and kind of mine that gap. There's the 11 of Jimmy Coleman falling now in between those 2 race cars. So there's really no pressure in front to get up to any of these drivers in front of him, because for Daniel Faulkingham, they've got new tires. They're pulling away from him.
0.6 of a second is the gap now. King able to close it in. Now the question is, will Faulkingham be able to drive it out again, or will King continue to close in? Will any of these lap cars have a play in this? We're at lap 157, and boy, it's just still anybody's race here in this top 2.
And you see the 81 of Adam Gilliland has come back around this racetrack. He's going to get ready to unlap himself as Josh Williams has decided to come down pit road to surrender position number 4. Kevin Brown down on pit road as well. Adam Gilliland has almost unlapped himself to put him back on the lead lap. He's got 2 cars to get by for what would be lead lap positioning Kevin King and Daniel Faulkingham, and then he'd be back on the lead lap. The question is, what can he do with 10 more laps?
We saw in the true NASCAR race yesterday that trends of the race are, towards the end, not a lot of cautions when the cars are stretched out this way. Speed differences are pretty obvious as the 88 absolutely sideways there. He lost a lot of time allowing Gilliland to go by.
And now Adam Gilliland has 1 more car to pass to put himself back on the lead lap, and that is the leader, the 39 of Daniel Faulkingham. But you know what? They're getting a little bit racy in front of Daniel here. That's Elliot Henderson and Mike Montesi, just in front of the 39 of Faulkingham. And by no means are they slow. They are a little bit off the pace as Richard Beasley comes on to pit road in the 10. But they might hold the leader up here, and now Adam Gilliland is in behind. This is going to have a moment here, I think.
Yeah, for what the 81 cost the 88 over there in turn 3, might give it back here as the 81 streaks underneath, no problem. And These guys are fighting to stay. They're the last two cars. Montesi currently running in that 10th position, and Daniel Faulkingham has just put the 10th place car one lap down.
We saw the 88 and Kevin King come down into pit road on that last lap. He's down there getting service to his race car. So is it a matter of these drivers that are on the racetrack having enough fuel to go to the end of this race, as King is going to take 4 tires on his race car? It moves Omar Diallo up to position number 2, and Tommy Ryan up to position number 3, as Brian Macklin has decided, I believe, to, well, he's still in position number 4, just lost a little bit of ground there to those drivers in front of him.
95 of Williams streaks around your leader, Daniel Faulkingham. Daniel rolls into turn number 3, slow car down on the apron. I think that's Stenzel down there, heading to pit road.
And now you got 5 laps to go. If you're Daniel Faulkingham, you hope this thing stays under power for 5 laps. You don't blow a tire, nothing happens. The net leader on pit stops would be Adam Gilliland, and right now he's in position number 8. You can see the time is closing in, but it's 22 seconds and only 5 laps left to go. As long as this 39 can stay under power, Kevin Brown going to move to the outside.
Faulkingham streaks across the line, and now Omar Diallo streaks, so he's about a half straightaway back. 2.6 seconds is the distance for the Omar Diallo. And well, what a run for Omar. Second place finish here tonight, if he could bring it home here. And since he showed up, man, he's been all business. That guy is getting the job done here at SIM500.
Yeah, that kid knows how to get it done. Sitting back there in position number 2 and having another great run. He needs some points to get himself up into the top 30. He's already got that win. He's looking to pick up a couple of more points to get himself just a little bit closer into that top 30. This time by Daniel Faulkingham will have 2 laps left to go. He'll keep that thing on the racetrack and try to keep this thing under power. 2 to go right here.
Kevin King, 23rd, 3 laps down. So waiting that long definitely did not play into Kevin's strategy. If he'd have pitted somewhere in the halfway mark, he could have ended up somewhere in the top 10, but you can't blame him. He was going for the win.
There goes Scott Stenzel down to the inside, Glenn Campbell down to the inside. As long as they don't waver, Daniel Faulkingham is going to be okay. He's got to keep it under power for 1 lap. And oh, by the way, here comes Omar Diallo to the back bumper. Diallo is within a second.
Our sideways down on the apron. He's going to keep it there. Diallo coming up off of turn 2. He closes it into 2 car lengths. He's going to be 1 car length into 3. He has a good enough run. He's to the back bumper. Here they come off of turn number 4. The 39 going to be on the outside. Here comes the 23 underneath. Then it is a back bumper. Man, what a win.
Running low on fuel, and you could tell Daniel Faulkingham was running low. He's going to pick up the victory, Omar Diallo. And how about Tommy Ryan coming home in position number 3? Brian Macklin, best finish since Daytona, comes home in 4th. And Jose Gonzalez unofficially scored in position number 5. And Adam Gilliland, through all of that, Kevin, comes home with 6th.
Man, who'd have guessed how close Omar got to getting that win? He got to the back bumper, but I just don't think he probably needed another lap, and he would have been blown by. And yep, Faulkingham going to go over there and write his signature on the front straightaway. Incredible race for Daniel Faulkingham.
He gets one win a couple of weeks ago, and then it seems to all come. As you see the results on your screen, top 8 are going to finish on the lead lap here this evening. And then a lot of drivers, Kevin, with that pit strategy, 1 or more laps down. The only one that was really able to rebound through all of that was Adam Gilliland, who was up in the top 5 and still finished 6th. So net loss, but not by much, really, considering where he was running prior to coming down pit road.
He certainly stoked the fire in that last run and showed how fast he was. And good run for Tyler Dalton. He's had so much trouble early in the season. He got crashed just about every race to come home with the top 10 here. 7th place finish for the number 19. He's got to be happy with that here tonight.
And I think Daniel Faulkingham is out of fuel. EJ O'Rourke giving him a little bit of a push to get it back into victory lane. Then you look at some of the drivers that had some bad luck tonight. Kevin King, pit strategy at the end, was running in second, probably had the second best race car on that long run. Going to come home in 23rd here this evening. Then you look at Trey Edson, David Comstock, Justin Fuller, Danny Hansen. I think the car just gave up on him and a little tired in 29th. And Josh Parker obviously had that questionable incident. Stefan Marinick, Scott Simley complete your field. Is Daniel Faulkingham still getting pushed back to pit road from that little help from his friends there in the 41?
Chad Coleman, good run there to finish in the 8th position on the lead lap. Nice run for that number 38 here tonight.
And I see we've got Tommy Ryan here. Why don't you catch up with our third place finisher here, Kevin?
Yeah, let me walk over here. I'm going to step over the fence and lean in here. Tommy, you got a minute to talk to us?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
How about it? Podium finish here at Dover. Good run. Interesting race, wasn't it, from a complexion standpoint?
Yeah, yes, it was. I wasn't expecting that much drama in the beginning of it. I really thought that we had a really good chance of going the whole way here without a caution. So I was in the mindset where, I ran a race here last night with SIM500, burnt the right front off of it. So I was like, well, no matter what, I know what I have to do, and wherever I end up is where I end up. So I actually started that run a little bit harder than I really wanted to, but I just kept the mindset of what I needed to do. And then, with me and my teammates, Jeff and Elliot down there, we were talking about fuel and figured we could go the whole way. So I kind of just put myself in a groove there and just went. And next thing you know, guys started blowing tires and falling off the pace real hard, and I kept walking. And didn't know what was going to happen to the top two right there. And I was like, man, I might get gifted here. But, that's part of racing, man. You got to have good tire wear and good strategy. And I think this is my first podium this season. So really, really happy, man. These guys are tough, man. It's really hard to run competitive here. You got to be on it.
Yeah, no doubt. Take us through the track conditions. Drivers were talking about loose, tight, pushing. How was your car from a tire wear standpoint?
Well, in clean air, it was no issues at all. It was depending on how you landed in the center. You could be all over the right rear, so that's why guys were popping right rear tires. So you had to be very mindful how much pressure you were putting on that tire. If you got in traffic, man, you could. It was really tight behind somebody, but you could pack the air up under some spoilers, man, and get them loose and move them out of the way. But you just had to be careful, especially you're running 20 laps and you got clean air, and all of a sudden you start running guys down and you get 10 feet off their spoiler, man. It feels like the right front just went down on you. You really got to start backing corners up and setting up the pass. And it's tough to do. And then when you finally get by them, man, hopefully you got enough tire to carry on. So it's just tough, man. The aero was big time.
So I have to say, I love racing this racetrack. It's not too dissimilar from Darlington we ran last. It's all about driving through the corner, and it sounds like you guys had a blast.
Oh yeah, the car was fun to drive. It was in the racetrack. You had to be careful around the aero stuff, but it was challenging. Unfortunately, it wasn't too much of a multi-groove thing like we've seen at some racetracks. Darlington was definitely, I think, multi-groove in some areas in 3 and 4, but for the most part, man, you had the bottom feed here. A little bit different line in 1 and 2, but mainly you had to be on the bottom. Nobody was, rim riding like we saw on Sunday on TV.
8th place in points, 2 top 5s. This makes number 3, 5 top 10s so far on the season. And when you get to podiums, the next one is to knock yourself on a win here. Good race tonight, Tommy. Anybody want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, obviously my teammates at Unacceptable, Jeff and Elliot. Man, we were working strategy and trying to maneuver each other through the traffic and the new tires coming and keeping everybody out of trouble and in good standing. Northern Tool and Equipment. My primary and not only my primary, is kind of associate sponsor this year, but Snap Mobile Shop. And if Randy Yoakum's out there watching in Radio Land and in internet land. So I'm sure he's happy to see us with the top 3. And that's about it, man. It's a great league. I love racing here. It's competitive. It's, it's go get them. So hopefully I'll get to talk to you guys again next week.
Yeah, man. Go enjoy it, Tommy. Big smile on Tommy Ryan's face as he comes away with the top 3 here tonight. And Tim is caught up with our second place finisher, Omar, who was that close.
Hi, Omar.
Hi, Tim.
Running in second at the end, looking at fuel, what was the strategy going forward? Thinking, we're going to stick this thing out. What was the sticking point to try to get this thing to the end?
I knew I was going to make it on fuel no matter what. When we got that caution, it was just whether my right rear tire would blow or not. Thankfully, it didn't.
Trying to get all this strategy together, knowing that, guys like Kevin King and Adam Gilliland are coming down pit road. They got to get there to the end, and trying to manage getting up to Daniel Faulkingham, especially through all of that traffic. How difficult was it to get up there at the end and battle with Daniel?
Yeah, couple laps into the run, I got up on Josh Williams like a 10th back, and I couldn't really do anything because of the dirty air. It was real bad. I lost like 2 or 3 seconds just sitting behind him. Finally got around him, and then I saw Kevin blow the right rear. I was like, yeah, I just got to maintain and keep the right rear on, and we'll get a P2. And then Daniel blew his on the second to last lap, and I was like, oh, shoot, I have a shot at it. And we were so close.
You came into the series around the same time as Kevin and Danny, and obviously Danny's car got tired tonight, and Kevin had his issues on pit road. What does it mean to be the shining star, per se, of the 3? You kind of came in around the same time in this SIM500 Transervice Cup Series. What does it mean to reel off these podium finishes while they're trying to find the luck, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, feels pretty good. They're both really good drivers, and being able to get, 2 top 5s in my first 4 races is pretty nice. So, yeah. They definitely don't come easy.
And racking up a little bit of cash on that side as well. You got the DoorDash colors on the side of this race car tonight. Who's on the race car? Who'd you like to thank team-wise that helps you get to this place tonight?
Yeah, that was an accident. I signed up with the wrong car, and I just really couldn't do anything. But I'd like to thank myself for being good, and I'd like to promote my Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Omar Diallo_.
So what you're saying is you're not a big Mitchell DeYoung fan?
Mitchell's a nice guy, but sometimes he pisses me.
Well, sometimes that happens. Omar, congratulations tonight.
Thank you, Tim. Everybody have a good night.
It's Omar Diallo, position number 2. And Kevin, familiar place for you. Daniel Faulkingham's in victory lane.
Yeah, he's wiping the crumbs from the burn down that he had for the tires off, and you smell like smoke, Daniel, burning them down over there on the front straightaway.
I'll tell you what, my right rear smells like smoke for sure. Friggin' with 2 to go, my right rear decided to blow out on me. I cannot believe I managed to hang on, man. Friggin', I guess me and Omar were talking just after the race, and he said if he didn't get held up by Joshua Williams there, I think he would have won the race, which I think for sure he did, because he got stuck behind him, I guess, in his dirty air and whatnot. And that pretty much, I think, was the decider, essentially. So I've never pulled off a win like that with blowing a right rear or having a right rear going flat, per se. But, I mean, hey, I'll take him any way we can get him. I can't believe we managed to do that. But hey, Dover's been a good track to me. We won this race last year, and we did it again on a pretty alternate strategy. Can't believe we managed to hang on like that.
I was prepared to come into this race and watch a conveyor belt, but there was so much action going on. We were talking midway through the race about how you, as a driver, have to process all that, come up with the strategy. What were you thinking at the end when you were watching everything go on and you had a right rear flat tire or tire going down?
Yeah, I knew everyone. I knew looking at the lap count we had when we took the final restart, I knew we had enough fuel to go to the end. The only thing was the tires, because with how fast, with the speeds we're hitting here and how fast we're going, the tires, right? There's so much load the tires have, they just blow out or just wear out so quickly. So it's important to take care of the tires if you're going to do that long strat, which I think with me, Omar, Tommy, and I think Macklin did all the same strategy. So, and that was going to give us some spots. And on the other hand, I wanted to stay out in case we got a yellow. because knowing in this league, there's that element of surprise, and you never know if it's going to go green, if we're going to get a caution, and I kind of stayed out for that reason. Kind of like what happened last week at Darlington, when with happened between Taraska and Omar, with thinking there was going to be a caution. I stayed out, and I pretty much did the same thing, hoping we'd get another caution so I could stay out and not lose the lead, but I knew I could go to the end on fuel, so I just did my race, rode in line up front, tried to take care of my tires, especially with me being in the clean air, I could pretty much control the race, and just seeing everything happen around me, it was insane. And then I think once I saw Kevin pit, I thought for sure I had this race won. I just had to take it easy. And then all of a sudden, I get the stupid meatball flag with 2 laps to go entering turn 1, and I nearly lose it. So I knew I was in trouble. And then I look at the gap going down the back straightaway coming to the white flag, and I see Omar's already cut like a second into my lead. So I knew I was kind of complaining about how short this race was, but I'd say it was a perfect length. So
You know how close he was to finish?
yeah, I saw him. I saw him flying right off turn 4 with old McDonald's car right at my left rear at the start-finish line. So if we had one more lap, it was game over. So like I said, I was kind of complaining of how short this race was, but I'd say it was a perfect length.
Yeah, I'd say so. In the beginning of the race, you were stalking Adam, and then through the middle of the race, different people were stalking you. You had Kevin King right on your back bumper through probably 1/3 or more of the race. Do you pay attention to the car behind you, or are you just looking out the front windshield?
I do try to keep an idea of where the guys are behind me to see kind of how my pace is compared to them. But mostly on the first run, I was just looking out the windshield, trying to judge my gap to Adam, because I didn't want to get too close to him. I mean, I just kind of let him drive away because I wanted to do my own thing. I didn't want to get too close to him, just because with how bad dirty air is, if you get right up on someone's bumper, you'll just get plowed tight straight to the wall, and plus that really destroys your tires, because tires are not meant for dirty air whatsoever. So yeah, it's just kind of just running my own race. I thought we were just going to run second, third, or whatnot, but all of a sudden, when my friggin' awesome pit crew got me out first on the first pit stop, we pretty much had the race in control if all the cautions and stuff fell our way. And yeah, special shout out to my pit crew, best pit crew out there on pit road. And then after that, it was kind of mostly looking out the rear mirror, trying to judge my gap, because I didn't want to get too big of a lead where I was destroying my tires, and I want to try to keep those guys in my dirty air. So hopefully their tires would get killed too, and I think that's what happened to Kevin with 10 to go when he blew his right rear. So yeah, just so many things you need to calculate as a driver and whatnot, and I feel like I take that in good stride.
I was going to ask you about the pit stop. That was pretty amazing. So 3 wins on the season, first one to get there, and I think this serves a little nervous, Daniel, a little notice for these guys. How about Coda next week? We're not going there, right?
I'm sad we're not going to Coda. I love road courses. I'm sad we're not going to Coda. But, I mean, hey, we're going to Charlotte next week. And I think it's another big tribute race. So it's going to be a special race next week either way at Charlotte, which there's a little bit of extra money to win next week. So we'll
money
see.
on the line.
We'll see what we can do there next week. But, yeah, like I said, I am very disappointed we're not going to Coda. But, hey, it's all right. We still got plenty of road courses on the schedule. And with Memorial Day coming up and whatnot, I'm all right with it. So we'll see what we can do next week at Charlotte.
Come run my Coda race. I'll run Charlotte for you.
Nah. I mean, very nice of you, but I think we'll be all right. But I do appreciate the offer, though.
Congratulations. How about it? Just one quick moment here. Go ahead and do a shout out. Anybody want to say hello to this week?
I'm the first people I need to shout out, like I said already, is my pit crew, who did their own Alex Bowman. I think I got Alex Bowman's pit crew tonight, I guess. I don't know. They were really fast all night on pit road. They were fast for Bowman last night, and I guess they helped me out tonight. So special shout out to my pit crew. And also thank you to First Rate Bay Labs 207 for all their support. I got to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. Definitely going to be a fun one to go back and watch. I got to thank Transervice for sponsoring the series, everyone, all the admins at SIM500 who run the show. Got to thank my team at Team Name, Chad Coleman, David Comstock, Richard Beasley, Josh Parker, Pedro Mojica, Kevin DeBrown. I'm probably missing a lot of people, but thank you to all those guys. Shout out to Bill Schoonover. We got you another win, buddy. Very unfortunate what happened to Josh tonight, but we kind of took the team on our shoulders tonight, and we managed to pull through, so glad we were able to do that. Got to thank, just thank all the fans who came out and watched our race tonight. Special shout out to a lot of friends and family who are watching me as well.
There you go. They're over there putting your car in the hand of Miles. So go on over there to pit road, celebrate with your crew. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna go have a nice little day with Miles, I guess.
So, Tim, what can you say about this race? It had a little bit of everything, and some good, some bad, but unbelievable finish.
Yeah, great finish to this one. Pit strategy coming down to the end of it. Congratulations once again to Daniel Faulkingham, was able to get another victory here, and they seem to be rolling off this team and rolling off the truck. Congratulations to him. Tommy Ryan, great run. Brian Macklin finishes a race in fourth, and Jose Gonzalez in fifth. Adam Gilliland wanted a little bit more, comes home in position number 6. But Paul, overall, a great race, and again, it's summertime, but we still got plenty of racing to come here on Verdane TV.
Yeah, absolutely. The Verdane TV schedule thinned out just a little bit, but we still have 3 exciting nights of racing action. Wednesday night, little doubleheader action. Tim's Corner Motorsports hosting Tim's Corner Live, episode number 16, and right after that, the Fatheads Cup Series. Getting on down in to the race or the round of 8 at Bristol Motor Speedway this Wednesday night. Really looking forward to that. 4 races to go in their season, and they just announced they got a little bit of a name change, and they do have a new schedule that is out. We're going to be seeing them next season here on Verdane TV, bringing us all the way into the winter months and beyond. So very excited about them, as well as the New England, Pennsylvania iRacing group just released their schedule. A couple of tweaks, minor tweaks we got to work out on that, but they're going to be racing here as well. They've found sponsors for each and every single one of their races for their next season here on Verdane TV. And Thursday night, the Multi-League Cup Series is going to be racing at 8:30. They're going to be running at the Circuit of the Americas, and that's going to be a fantastic race. We've seen that racetrack here on Verdane TV before. Going to be a heck of a show. Really looking forward to that as well. And then right here next Monday night, the second annual Bryce Whitson Never Quit 250, $100 to win for any driver that can come home in victory lane after 166 laps at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Going to be running the older version, a little bit older version anyway, the 2018, before the repave and the most recent maintenance. So that's pretty cool. And then Memorial Day weekend off, we got a little bit of road racing coming up, some dirt racing, where these guys are going to be running on Cup Cars at Eldora here on June 14th as they take a little look-ski here at SIM500.com, peeking at the schedule. So lots of great stuff coming up here on Verdane TV. We got a lot of cool stuff going on at the racetrack, sponsoring the number 6 Rental Race Car Street Stock. Shout out to those guys. A little bit of a rough go of it this past Friday night up there at Stafford Motor Speedway, but man, we're going to watch those guys recover, bring a new car up to the track this Friday, and have at her. So really looking forward to that. Going to be at the racetrack this Friday. If you see yours truly, really hard to miss. I've seen some of the pictures from Alicia Lee from photography and some of the other great photographers out there. I stick out like a sore thumb with the bright red and black Verdane t-shirt and this big old red beard. So come on over and say hi, give me a high five, buy me a beer, buy me a hot dog. I appreciate it. But that's going to do it here for Verdane TV, for everybody here up in the booth. Tim Terry, Kemet England, I am Showtime Paul Strickland Jr., and everybody here with the Transervice Cup Series and the SIM500 administration. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight, tuning into Facebook, tuning into the YouTube. Give us a like, give us a share. Most importantly, give us a subscribe on that YouTube channel. So close to 500 subscribers. Want to try and get that by this weekend so we can have ourselves a little bit of a celebratory race here next Monday night for the SIM500 Transervice Cup Series. But thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. We'll catch you on the flip side when we do. We're going to be doing it live.